I rolled a social scene. Social is meant to be an opportunity for our characters to interact with each other on a social level. Their social skills will be put to play because we want there to be relationships, whether they are positive or negative relationships, to kind of build the lore of not only the world that we're building, but also between the characters. For the meaning, we rolled truce and plot. So I interpret that as this is going to bind the characters that get selected for this in some way, and it's going to create a new plot point. So the result, however and whatever happens, we're going to want to create a new plot out of it. The description is wildly exotic. This means to me that this is going to be something that the average rogue has not experienced before. I'm leaning towards otherworldly, and so with just using that, I knew that this event was going to, along with knowing where it was going to be, the Moonlit Bastion, this mysterious place that seems to appear and disappear. We get to build on its lore by it being at this location, and that goes perfectly well with wildly and exotic because this is strange and mysterious. We're going to learn that it has drawn them to that location. This will explain why it's always been so lonely and empty around the tavern in this particular area. This Moonlit Bastion seems to be an attraction to the detriment of the tourist. Our rogues and some of our more recent rogues have been bound up in the spell of this mysterious Moonlit Bastion and find themselves drawn to this location. Each of them are dreaming or have had a dream about another rogue that has been selected. And in the submissions, I asked each player to submit or choose a type of dark secret that their character would have, and then we would roll what that is. And each rogue is going to have a dream or nightmare envisioning the other rogue's dark secret, and we're going to roll to see what that dark secret is, keeping in mind the character's personality and their other submission pieces. In this dream state, the journeyman is getting these visions of Maven and something that Maven is involved with. We're going to go ahead and we're going to roll the adventure tone to be the tone of the dream, and then we're going to roll some meaning descriptors to see what exactly we're dreaming of. We're going to do the same for each rogue and the person they're dreaming about. Starting with me, I'm dreaming about Maven. What exactly is going on with Maven now? In Maven's submission, Maven said he chose emotional scars in that category. Everything under that category is traumatic experiences, survivor's guilt, emotional abuse, abandonment. We'll roll adventure tone. We're gonna get some more tone to add to that, and we're gonna get some descriptors. 74. Mundane, adversity, emotional scars. That's perfect. Maven has a cursed bow. Maven learned to use a cursed bow. There is a bow that Maven is in possession of, and what it does is it regrows his arm because Maven has one arm. He is an arm amputee, and I don't know if it's because of this cursed bow or not, but maybe that's something we'll learn eventually. Hell, maybe we'll learn it in this dream. This is the emotional scar that this cursed bow has given Maven that we're about to get a glimpse into. Adversity, mundane. The tone is a struggle with something that isn't even another person. We need some more meaning. $57.83. Kill playfully. Maven didn't mean to kill someone, but he killed someone with this bow. Maven lost a lot to this bow, and it forced him to kill someone. Just maybe for now we'll say it was out of control, it was an accident, and it wasn't the will of the bow, because I don't know if this bow is evil or not. We don't know that yet, but I will say that it was an accident. He was playing with this bow, and killed someone, maybe a few people.
In the shadowy recesses of the journeyman's slumber, the veil of reality was rent asunder, casting him into the murky depths of a fevered nightmare. Within this surreal dreamscape, he found himself an unwilling witness to a hidden chapter in Maven's sordid past, the revelation of which would leave an indelible mark upon his soul. The dream's landscape wove itself around the journeyman like a tapestry of madness, painting a vision of a clandestine abode where rogues sought refuge from the unforgiving world. Amidst this den of iniquity, Maven returned from a perilous dungeon delving, bearing with him the burden of a shrouded artifact, its true nature concealed within a worn satchel. Seeking solace in the shadows, Maven unveiled the fruits of his perilous venture. A bizarre and sinister longbow, the likes of which had never been seen by mortal eyes. Its twisted form seemed to resonate with a dark power, beckoning the rogue to plumb the depths of its malignant potential. With a sense of morbid curiosity, Maven began to pluck at the bowstring, each haunting note echoing through the Stygian chamber like the whispers of damned souls. An eerie melody emerged from the cacophony, weaving a spell of discord that gnawed at the very fabric of the journeyman's psyche. As the sinister tune reached its chilling crescendo, the bow revealed its malevolent purpose, its maw opening wide to consume Maven's arm in a display of unspeakable agony. The nightmare intensified, the dream world convulsing in response to the horrific scene that unfolded before the journeyman's horrified gaze. The longbow transformed into a harbinger of death, spraying a relentless barrage of arrows throughout the dwelling. The air was thick with the screams of the dying as Maven's fellow rogues found themselves mercilessly cut down, their lives snuffed out in an instant by the unyielding storm of lethal projectiles. Bound within the nightmarish dream, the journeyman could do naught but bear witness to the macabre slaughter. The truth of Maven's dark secret now lay bare before him. It was a revelation that would forever taint his perception of the rogue, as the echoes of the grisly massacre continued to reverberate within his haunted mind.
What does Maven dream about in Artorias? Let's get some tone for these emotional scars. 97. Emotional. Very. Yo, what? The tone, the category already is emotional. We rolled emotional, which I interpret as this is very emotional, and then rolled very. This has to be an incredibly emotional event. Now, of these, whoa, and this is our introduction to Artorias. All right, let's get some meaning. 8643. Stop. Hard. All right, let's take a look at Artorias. Artorias. Artorias is a strong, diligent, humble knight, a leper knight who serves the poor, exceptionally good at assisting, has a high rank at guiding, and an above average skill of blocking. Artorias is distinguished and recognized by the intricate steel mask that covers his face. Stop. Hard. Artorias served the Lord, who was secretly a very bad person. And when Artorias found out what the Lord was doing, he had to put a stop to it. And it was hard to do. Hard physically and mentally.
In the fevered grip of a twisted dream, Maven found himself ensnared within the tormented mind of Artorias, the leper knight, compelled to witness a harrowing vision of betrayal and tragedy. Within this nightmarish tableau, the very threads of Artorias' sanity frayed, strained by the weight of an inscrutable purpose that demanded a terrible price. The dream unfolded like a blood-soaked tapestry, revealing Artorias locked in mortal combat with his own brethren, a lone warrior standing against an army that once called him brother. The air was thick with the clamor of steel and the anguished cries of the fallen, as Artorias cleaved through the ranks of his former comrades, his sword a relentless whirlwind of death. The battlefield morphed and twisted, the dream bending to the dark whims of Artorias' tortured psyche. In one swift and brutal moment, Artorias' blade bit deep into the throat of an erstwhile friend, his life extinguished in a crimson spray that painted the nightmare's canvas. In another, he executed a deft maneuver, spinning to sever the head of a charging foe, his dying scream echoing through the twisted dreamscape. Yet the true nature of Artorias' betrayal remained shrouded in the mists of the dream, casting him in a sinister light that tainted his once noble visage. As the tide of battle ebbed, the true test of Artorias' resolve emerged, a confrontation that would rend his very soul asunder. With a heart heavy with sorrow and madness, Artorias faced his own father and brother, their blades raised in a grim dance of death. The dream's landscape trembled, reflecting the emotional turmoil that threatened to consume the leper knight, as he steeled himself for the final, fateful duel. In a breathtaking display of martial prowess, Artorias parried and blocked every strike, his sword an impenetrable shield that defied the relentless onslaught. As the battle raged on, Artorias seized upon a moment of opportunity, his blade meeting his father's in a resounding clash. With a desperate heave, he forced his father's weapon into the path of his brother, the cruel steel biting deep into the younger man's throat. As his brother's lifeblood stained the master plane, Artorias hurled both father and son from the precipice of a jagged cliff, their bodies swallowed by the abyss below. The dream shuddered, echoing the terrible cost for what it was Artorias' was putting a stop to, forever etching the scene of anguish and death into Maven's haunted memory. The leper knight approached the opulent chambers of his lord, the air heavy with the palpable dread of what was to come. Abruptly, the dreamscape shifted, leaving the grim details of Artorias' actions veiled in shadow, their true nature known only to the dreamer. Instead, Maven was assailed by a torrent of overwhelming emotion, a maelstrom of despair, horror, and fury that threatened to consume him whole. In the dream's twisted embrace, Maven could feel the weight of Artorias' unspeakable act, its darkness staining the leper knight's once noble soul. The magnitude of the emotion defied comprehension, painting Artorias in a light so sinister that it seemed to eclipse all that had come before. Though the gruesome details of the confrontation remained shrouded, the mere suggestion of Artorias' deeds was enough to sear the scene into Maven's memory, forever tainting his perception of the leper knight with the indelible stain of an act too terrible to speak.
What does Verdane dream about the journeyman? What's the tone of the dream that Verdane is having about the journeyman? 9824. violent, emotional, violently emotional. 9636, festive, usurp. And I chose in my submission that my secret would be disappointments, broken friendships, failed partnerships, lost trust, shattered expectations. I failed to protect someone important, and the impact, and they were usurped, removed from their throne at a parade, at some sort of celebration, at some sort of event, and under my nose they were bodied. And the impact that that had on me was violently emotional in a negative way. I probably reacted and probably went ham. I probably killed a lot of the attackers, but broke a lot of my moral codes. And I was never the same.
As Verdane the Veiled descended into slumber's embrace, her innate mastery over the heart's shadows granted her access to the hidden corners of the journeyman's tormented psyche. Within this nightmarish domain, she bore witness to a devastating secret that would forever change her perception of the once resolute protector. The dream unfurled around her like an obsidian veil, revealing a panorama of violence and emotion that threatened to shatter the journeyman's spirit. He had faltered in his sacred responsibility to safeguard a lord he had sworn to defend, and the consequences of his negligence unfolded in a grisly scene of destruction. Amidst this macabre vision, the lord was annihilated by a malevolent mage, his very essence devoured in an all-consuming blaze of eldritch fire. As the inferno raged around him, the journeyman's composure disintegrated, succumbing to a tempest of fury and despair that would leave a lasting mark upon his once unblemished honor. Though the dream sought to disorient and bewilder, Verdane navigated its convoluted landscape with ease, her command over the shadow of the journeyman's heart shielding her from its insidious influence. Yet she could not escape the stark revelation of the journeyman's darker nature as he yielded to the madness that seized his heart. In the throes of his rage, the journeyman indiscriminately cut down all who dared approach the scene of his dishonor, ally and adversary alike collapsing beneath the merciless fury of his blade. The cries of the dying reverberated through the dreamscape, a discordant symphony that would forever haunt the recesses of his fragmented psyche. As Verdane beheld the carnage unleashed by the journeyman's hand, she came to understand the depths of his desolation and the wounds that marred his once noble soul. The dream had exposed the bleakest chapter of his life, casting him in a light that forever stained his image in her eyes. The journeyman, a figure once perceived as unshakable and steadfast, was now unveiled as a man tormented by his own shortcomings and consumed by the darkness that lay within his heart.
What does Artorias dream about Verdane? Let's get a tone. Let's roll tone. Let's roll tone. Roll tone. 1246. Bold. Horrible. Okay. Give me meaning. I need meaning. 2752. Cruelty. Inform. Okay, now this might sound wild, but hear me out. A lot of solo role-playing is connecting dots. And once you get a lead into something that you feel would be a good jump-off point, you take it. Verdane has the skill to channel darkness and tap into that in terms of relating and empathizing. So much so that surely she has control of it herself. She's using her dream to inform Artorias. about what's happening to them. She already knows what's happening to them. And she's using her dream, her darkness, to reveal to Artorias. Her secret is also being revealed and exposed, but she's using this as an opportunity to inform Artorias about what horribly bold things, what's about to happen to them, the cruelty that's about to happen, horrible cruelty that's about to happen to all of them if they don't fix this situation.
As Artorias succumbed to the clutches of slumber, he found himself ensnared within the enigmatic world of Verdane, the Veiled. To his astonishment, her dreamscape was an oasis of tranquility amidst the inky abyss, a testament to her contentment and accord with the darkness lurking in her heart. Within this serene void, Artorias bore witness to a mesmerizing sight. Countless obsidian hearts orbiting around Verdane, who levitated inverted at the core of this celestial sphere. As Verdane sensed Artorias' presence, she regarded him with a sagacious gaze, her merciful, perceptive, and exacting nature piercing the darkness. In a voice bearing the cadence of archaic times, she spoke with dire wisdom. "The moonlit bastion bears a foul curse, Artorias. It seeks to draw forth the shadows from our hearts, to birth a malevolence so vile that its touch upon our souls shall reverberate throughout eternity." Her words conveyed an urgent plea, imploring Artorias to aid her. "When thou dost awaken, thou must share this dire knowledge with our comrades. Together, we may yet find the means to resist the curse and shield our souls from its sinister grasp." Artorias perceived the gravity of Verdane's message. Her dominion over her own darkness had afforded her this rare opportunity to communicate with him, a testament to her strength and self-awareness. Before Artorias could muster a response, the malignant shadows of the bastion invaded the vision, ensnaring him with unseen tendrils and wrenching him from Verdane's dreamscape. As he was torn from the tranquil sanctuary, the burden of the message entrusted to him bore heavily upon his mind, his resolve to share the ominous revelation with his comrades, solidifying with each passing moment.
Will Artorias be able to assist and guide the others to this revelation? Now, I wanted this to be a social obstacle that will be overcome with social aspects. And that social aspect is the character's ability to overcome their judgment and seek the redemption in themselves or in the other person. Obviously, this would be a problem for characters who are depending on the type of character. So, for example, the journeyman is very lawful. So, depending on what that dark secret is, that could be detrimental to their relationship. And the challenge in this social obstacle would be, can that person overcome it for the sake of all of them getting out of the situation they're in?
Our four rogues, bound by shared perils but strangers to one another, awoke from haunting dream trances. Disoriented by the intensity of their surreal visions, they found themselves mysteriously displaced within a ghostly chamber. Ethereal gloom enveloped them, shadows writhing upon the walls, illuminated by the cold, silvery light. The air whispered untold secrets and betrayals, echoing the darkness unveiled in their dreams. The rogues exchanged wary glances, unsure whether to trust their newfound companions in the face of the sinister forces at play. Verdane and Maven, however, acknowledged each other from afar. Their familiarity with one another offered a glimmer of solace amidst the uncertainty. Verdane, also having met Artorias in her dreams, found herself anchored by their fleeting connection and agreement. Gathering their bearings, the rogues clutched their weapons, hands trembling from the lingering effects of their nightmares.
I'm going to roll a single roll for the group as a collective, with all ranks and with all positives and negatives factored in, to form a rank, and we're going to put that against the difficulty of this. The difficulty of this is going to I'm going to mark at high, and then I'm going to increase it and or lower it based on obviously other factors. So Artorias has an exceptional rank skill, an exceptional ranked ability called assist, which is what he would be using because he's assisting Verdane in explaining to the others of what's going on here. Verdane is using Dark Sympathy, which is above average and within 2 ranks of his ability, so it's going to provide a bonus of +1. Can Artorias assist Verdane in explaining to the others who were somewhat disoriented and confused what's going on here? With a rank of exceptional +1 rank, so awesome. I'm going to say the difficulty of believing in them. All right, so the journeyman had a dream about Maven, okay? The journeyman didn't a dream about Verdane. Maven dreamed about Artorias. So if anything, Maven would have reservations about Artorias. So that's going to be a negative. Artorias had a dream about Verdane, so no negative there. And I had a dream about Maven. Right. Okay. So there's going to be he's going to be hesitant to listen to anything Artorias is saying initially. Right. He just had that crazy dream. So I'm going to say it's going to be Artorias and Verdane's awesome versus a difficulty rank of, I'm going to say it was average. And now it's above average because of Maven might, add a little heartburn to that. So we're going to say awesome versus above average. So anything under an 85 is what we need. They're successful. So what is it exactly that is happening here? What is this horrible dream thing that's happening that Verdane revealed to Artorias? Let's get some meaning. $99. $5. Waste. Angrily. She explains that this tower, this bastion, is a plight on this area of the master plane. What it wants to do is it wants its captives to be imprisoned here, tirelessly wasting their anger on each other. It wants to bring out their anger, and it so it can feed off of the darkness. It can feed off the anger and the darkness in the hearts of the people inside the bastion.
Within the spectral depths of the moonlit bastion, the 4 rogues gathered, uncertainty and mistrust lingering in the air like a malevolent fog. Verdane and Artorias, bound by the knowledge gleaned from their shared dream, found themselves burdened with the responsibility of enlightening their newfound companions. Verdane addressed the wary assembly. "Hear me, brethren, for we find ourselves ensnared by a most vile curse. The moonlit bastion hath cast us into a slumber most treacherous, its purpose to sow discord and hatred within our ranks." Artorias stepped forth, his words laced with the gravity of their predicament. "We must guard our hearts, for these deceitful visions seek to forge enmity among us, all to birth a malevolence so cruel that our souls shall bear the scars for eternity." The rogues exchanged uneasy glances, their minds still reeling from the surreal and harrowing images that had beset them in their dreams. The truth of Verdane and Artorius's warning resonated deep within their souls, and they knew they must resist the insidious deceit of the moonlit bastion. As the companions acknowledged the wisdom of their words, a new resolve took hold. United by their shared plight, they vowed to resist the curse that threatened to consume them, determined to escape the wretched hill and its sinister machinations. "Stand firm," Artorius urged, his voice steady and resolute. "Let not the darkness of these visions rend us asunder, for in unity we shall find the strength to vanquish the cruel specter that haunts our dreams and liberate our minds from its vile grasp."
So what we're going to do is this obstacle is now going to test each character and will attempt to invoke anger out of that character using the dream about the person that they dreamed about. Okay? And if each character, depending on how each character fares with that, that will impact the rank that the group will have when going against the trap as a whole, the obstacle as a whole. So the rank of the rank of the party is going to have is going to be based off of how well each person fared against this particular effect that it's going to have on us, on our rogues. It's going to tempt us to, get angry. It's going to show us parts of the dream that is going to skew the perspective of the dream as well to make that person look even worse. Now, mind you, Verdane is going to be assisting, because in Verdane's submission, Verdane said that in her submission, she said this is the perfect scenario to take advantage of dark sympathy once more. Dark sympathy is her skill of identifying the darkness in people and using it to persuade and control others. So the skill of manipulating the darkness in people's hearts. She's going to be using that once more. And she uses this ability to sense the darkness of the heart and will take advantage of this knowledge in her shamanistic role. Verdane is known for her kindness and an almost oracular perception of people's inner darkness. While she may struggle with her own dark secrets, she will try to fill somewhat of a caregiver / trip sitter role for the other rogues if she can. So that's definitely going to be factored into how each rogue is dealing with this attempt on their sanity here. Is this dream state able to have its way with my perception of Maven? Now, considering, so it's probably going to manifest the fact that he's killing people, and it's probably going to try to make it look real bad, right? I said that in my submission, staying true to my character, I said that I will use my skill enforce to redeem a rogue if possible. I will utilize my guide and I will utilize my guide, my creature, my manifestation for better understanding of the strange phenomena happening as well. So let me go ahead and roll in my ability because if my guide can give me a better understanding of what's happening, that will give me a better boost to dealing with this. My guide is above average rank. Above average. I'm going to say the difficulty of this challenge is high. Is my guide able to identify what is at state here? And I'm going to say that because it identified what living stone was, it would have an idea of things related to this moonlit bastion. So I'm going to say high versus high. I need anything under a 50. Ooh, it was almost a 51.
Materializing from nothing, your guide appears before you, its phantasmal form flickering into focus. With the somber cadence, its voice whispers into your head. "Heed the witch," it intoned, its large eyes shudder. "For the living stone hungers for the rancor within thy hearts, seeking to birth cruelty into the plain. A malevolence that shall echo through eternity. Resist its insidious whispers, lest ye become its unwitting pawns." The cryptic revenant's insight weighed heavily upon your soul, and with newfound clarity, you addressed your companions, your voice resolute. "Fear not, I can stand firm against the iniquitous deceit of this accursed place. Pray tell you do the same." Your eyes settled on Maven.
So my guide is able to help identify that this is more shenanigans from the Moonlit Bastion, and that it's warping my perception. Now, naturally, my next thing would be to try to enforce redemption. And that would mean like, hey, are you sorry of what you did? You know, being judged, you know, trying to judge them and shit. Because I know that my perception is a little bit warped, I'm going to at least ask him if it's true. I'm going to ask Maven if it's true what I saw. I gotta know. Or is it outright lying that, you know, did you kill anyone? No, it looked like you were killing people. Is that true? And my character would need to know that. I'm an enforcer of the law, right? And if I recall, Maven's submission stated he's not going to take too kindly to people talking to him about that kind of stuff. So we know Maven is strong. You know, we know Maven is impulsive, quiet, and cynical. What does he say in response? So he's, as always, Maven will trust his instincts. Maven is reserved and distant. His impulsiveness is at odds with his quietness. He'll be unhappy if anyone tries to dig in too deep into his past or dreams. He'll offer distant commentary. So Maven's probably not going to say something that I'm going to like, and that will probably impact my ability to overcome this tempt of anger, right? Let me go ahead and see what Maven is actually saying based off of what his submission is saying. Maven says, $22.89. Colorful. Quarrelsome. I'm going to take it as he starts to quarrel with me, and he's saying things that are very interesting and colorful, and he's going ham, and he's using very elegant words to pretty much say F off.
In the dimly lit chamber of the moonlit bastion, a palpable tension hung in the air as you, with heavy heart, sought answers from Maven. The words emerged hesitantly, laden with doubt and trepidation. "Maven, the vision I beheld in the dream, was it a mere phantasm conjured by these cursed walls, or did it reveal a truth hidden within the depths of your soul? Hast thou found redemption from such a gruesome past?" Maven's countenance darkened, his eyes narrowing as he crafted a response both quarrelsome and eloquent. The air crackled with his intensity, his words a sharp retort that belied his cunning and wit. "Thou wouldst seek to judge me based on the fevered dreams of this accursed place? I shall not be held to account by such twisted apparitions, nor shall I bare my soul for thy appraisal. Redemption, thou sayest? 'Tis not for thee to determine the worth of my actions or the state of my conscience. We are all prisoners of our own pasts, and I have faced mine with the same courage I bring to this perilous quest." His impassioned monologue hung in the air like a challenge, daring you to question further. Yet within the fire of his words, a glimmer of vulnerability revealed the burden of the shadows he carried with him, a testament to the complexity of the man before you.
So that probably doesn't help, right?
Suddenly the air grew cold and heavy, the very stones beneath your feet seemingly imbued with a malevolent intent. Corpses permeate from their inky depths from under the party's feet. The shredded figures of Maven's victims emerged, their lifeless visages bearing witness to the brutal massacre that had transpired in a faraway rogue dwelling of the past. These cadavers went about their routines as if in life, their gruesome arrow wounds betraying the cruel manner of their deaths. They mingled and whispered, their hollow voices echoing through the chamber, a macabre pantomime of existence. Suddenly, the dead ceased their eerie charade, their hollow eyes fixing upon you with an accusatory glare. As one, they raised bony fingers, pointing directly at you and crying out in unison, "Murderer!" In that instant, the air around you thickened, and you felt a searing pain in your arm. The cursed bow, Maven's twisted instrument of death, had melded itself to your flesh, and the nightmare began anew. From Maven's perspective, you experienced the horrifying massacre, each deadly arrow loosed, adding to the weight of guilt that bore down upon your soul. As the vision faded, you were left with the chilling realization that the darkness within the moonlit bastion is attempting to burrow its way into your heart, sowing discord and doubt. Will you be able to resist this shit, Director Peoplz?
I'm going to say that puts me, I was at above average. I knew about it. It put me to high. I'm going to say that his reaction is going to bring me down 2 notches. So from high to above average back to average. So it's going to be average versus high. I need anything under a 25. Anything under a 25. Here we go. Yo, let's go. I find it in my heart to understand that something's not right. There has to be more to his situation, right? Benefit of the doubt.
You knew something was not right. In the face of the insidious illusion, you summoned an inner reserve of strength, fighting to quell the anger threatening to engulf your reason. As you wrested control from the moonlit bastion's malevolent influence, you shake off your arm and look away from the macabre intruders. The cadavers fall lifeless, collapsing around you like puppets with severed strings. You refocus. Suddenly, before Maven, a grotesque tableau materialized as countless peasants writhed in agony, their very flesh transmuting into molten gold. The wretched souls cried out, their torment amplified by gold coins birthed from their bodies, forming a grisly mound of gore and precious metal. Maven, horror-struck, turned to Artorias, who stood in mute shock, now garbed as the lord he had dispatched, the lord's staff in his grasp, the apparent architect of the peasants' torment. With knowledge steeped in the shadowed arts, Maven pierced the veil of this cruel illusion. He recognized the unseen hand of a living stone, a malefic structure weaving dark designs upon those unfortunate souls trapped within. Familiar with the living stone's supernatural prowess, Maven faced a grim realization. Ensnared by its machinations, their struggle against this insidious construct might be one they could not surmount.
Does Maven overcome the temptation to judge Artorias' slaughter of betrayal of his army? Now, Maven says that Maven will trust his instincts. He's highly intuitive, reserved, distant, and he has knowledge of the occult. So Maven is catching on, if not already understands what's going on here. And I'm sure his intuition will assist him in realizing the decision that Artorias made was probably based off of other things and not what the dream is trying to present to him. So I'm going to say that Maven's high rank of intuition, above average rank of occult knowledge, and bonus of understanding what's happening here because of Verdane, that puts him at incredible. I'm going to put him at incredible. Incredible versus high. Anything under a 75 is a yes. Anything under a 75 is a yes. The darkness got the Maven.
Maven's gaze pierced through the darkness, affixing itself upon Artorias, the living reflection of his own transgressions. His eyes, aflame with wrath, remained his sole testament to the tempest raging within. Silence enveloped him, his impulsive, reticent, and cynical nature restraining the venomous words poised at his lips. As the tumult of his emotions crested, a molten gold coin coalesced within his palm. In an instant, he cast it to the ground, the agony of its scorching touch too great to bear. Upon impact, the coin erupted in the screams of the dead and sinister golden explosion, seemingly stoking the flames of hatred smoldering within the moonlit bastion's bowels. The surrounding air grew thick with malevolence, drawing sustenance from the unspoken rage coursing through Maven's being. Despite his erudition in the occult, the insidious power gnawing at his heart proved indomitable, threatening to sever the fragile ties binding their fellowship. The malign energy that permeated the cursed dream sought to cast them headlong into the inescapable maw of living stone.
What does Artorias say to what does Maven say to Artorias? $75. 75, 45. Mysterious. Happy.
Festering resentment and curiosity surged through Maven's heart, compelling him to confront Artorias about the massacres that haunted them both. The air grew heavy with unspoken tension as Maven, tormented by his own darkness, sought solace in the belief that he was not the worst being to walk the master plane. "Didst thou find joy in the carnage?" Maven questioned. His memories of the rogue dwelling, where his hands had been stained with blood, weighed heavily upon him. He yearned to know whether Artorias had shared his torment or reveled happily in blooded coin. The silence hung between them like a suffocating fog. Artorias offered no response to the Inquisition. He was far too focused on his resolve, a feat that became impossible as a melting arm reaches for him from the mass of gold laying at his feet. As the dream persisted, the rift between them seemed to widen. Maven's need to differentiate himself from the leper knight pushing them further apart, sowing seeds of enmity in the fertile soil of their haunted pasts.
So that's one up, one down. What does Artorias say back? $61. $81. Juvenile. Official. The official order was to destroy or gather juveniles to turn them into gold.
Artorias finally broke his silence, compelled to share the torment that gnawed at his soul. "Whilst we labored to the children day by day, I sought to confirm their well-being, and what I found was a truth most sinister," Artorias confessed, his voice laden with sorrow. "The Lord we served possessed a staff of dreadful power, transforming the innocent into shimmering gold with naught but a touch." Casting the accursed staff to the ground with a clang that echoed through the chamber like a mournful bell, Artorias continued. "In mine haste to uncover the truth, I unwittingly triggered the staff's wicked purpose, sealing the fate of those I had sworn to protect, as well as thine own blood, sworn to protect their lord." The weight of Artorias' actions, though unintentional, bore down upon him like a crushing burden, but Maven watched stoically from afar, the screams of his own past altering what he hears from Artorias' lips. Verdane's grip of Maven's heart slips, fully seized by the dream.
Artorias will be judgmental and hypocritical, considering his own secret, of which he is deeply ashamed. So yeah, he's defending himself because he's so ashamed. The fact that he's going to be hypocritical is what worries me about the success of this, but because he's playing to his character as he should. But okay. In this madness, and now that he's all stirred up, I think that should kind of have an effect on how he's thinking in terms of Verdane, because now the dream is going to affect Artorias. Is Artorias able to overcome the temptation of anger for Verdane? Now Artorias is strong, diligent, and humble. Assist, guide, and block. He's defensive. Maybe does that mean mentally as well? I would say so. We can categorize that as maybe he has some defensive fortitude. He's strong, diligent, and humble. You got to have some kind of fortitude to be able to be disciplined and diligent and humble. His block skill is above average. He's being matter of fact, I would say that because he knows what's going on because of Verdane, would help her help him. He would help her help him. So he's going to use his exceptional rank of assist. I'm gonna give him a bonus because he's getting help from Verdane. I'm going to give a neg. I'm going to take it away because he's so distraught over what Maven just said to him. But he's strong. He's strong enough to deal with that. So, all right. So we're going to give him exceptional rank of assist +1 from the help. So he's going to be, at incredible versus high. Incredible versus high. Anything under 75. Here we go. 32, that's a yes.
Strong in every way that mattered this moment, Artorias diligently stuck to the plan of the witch, and with all his might casted hate from his heart just enough to rid himself of the Lord's burden so that he could focus on getting out this dilemma with his sanity.
Does Verdane overcome what she saw of me? Is she able to overcome that to deem me even worthy of assisting me? Or is she just, does it get to her and she's just disgusted by what she saw? We're going to say she's using, wait a minute, her skill. She's using dark sympathy, which is above average. I think after Artorias has come to grips, he's going to assist. He would also assist Verdane in coming to grips. He might notice her trying. She's doing so much now, you know what I mean? Trying to help everybody, that maybe she got a little caught off guard by the phantasm affecting her. And Artorias would have noticed that, and he tries to assist her with his high. So she's going to use her above average dark sympathy to defend, and which is pretty much a knowledge check of knowing what's going on, plus a bonus of his high. So she's going to be high. It's going to be high versus high. Anything under a 50. Here we go.
Verdane, seemed poised to effortlessly defy the malignant dreamscape, her resolve a bulwark against the encroaching curse. Yet the malevolent bastion was not so easily deterred. It immersed Verdane within the macabre vision of your berserking rage following the assassination of your lord. The dream reveals to her that everyone, one of your victims, enemy and ally, were all witches, mages, and practitioners of the craft. With each deft stroke of your bloodied longsword, witches met their grisly end, the blade cleaving through flesh and bone in a maelstrom of violence. Verdane's ironclad resolve wavered, her heart growing heavy with doubt and judgment as the crimson-soaked scene unfolded. The unrelenting onslaught beneath your blade weighed upon her conscience, and she could not help but question the trustworthiness of one so adept at slaughtering the unarmed. Verdane cracks, her focus switching from the greater good of the party to now resenting the way you handled your failure of duty again.
Now, at this point, Artorias' skill of assist, he's still carrying the message of Verdane now that she can't carry it anymore because she's kind of losing it. His skill, luckily enough, is one of his highest ones. It's high, right? Or is it, no, it's exceptional, right? Assist, exceptional. So we'll use his because he has the highest one. We'll start from there. Exceptional. We'll give a +1 for me because I succeeded. So we are now going to be at incredible. Incredible. We'll say -1 for Maven, and then I'm going to say losing, what's her name? Verdane? We should lose 2 for Verdane. So we're going from incredible to exceptional because Maven failed or couldn't overcome it, and we're going down to above average because Verdane couldn't overcome it. Above average versus high. Anything under a 45. Above average versus high. Above average versus high. Anything under a 45. Have faith. Everybody, you can contribute to these odds. Hit that like button, subscribe, lend me strength. Anything under a 45. Anything under a 45.
A somber air weighs heavily upon the quartet, their hearts burdened by the shadows of their pasts. Maven, the cynical rogue, broods in the darkness, his reserved demeanor betraying an inner struggle between impulse and reservation. With a biting tongue, he utters a caustic remark, addressing the murderous pasts shared by him and Artorias. He proposes exile for the both of them, suggesting that their bloodlust taints the very air they breathe. Artorias, his conscience plagued by the stains of his past, hypocritically retorts, condemning Maven as a murderer while attempting to absolve himself of his own sins. The tension between them tugs at the delicate threads of their alliance, threatening to tear the group asunder. Verdane, her spirit steeped in the enigmatic mastery of dark sympathy, finds herself at a crossroads, her heart torn between two harrowing paths. Should she remain in her current state of consciousness, she risks further harm to herself and her comrades as the Bastion's malevolent power continues to feast upon their strife. Alternatively, she could choose to embrace the shadows of her own heart, plunging into a meditative state that would place her beyond the reach of even the most insidious grasp of the cursed Bastion, offering her soul some respite from the nightmare. With a breath that trembles like a flickering candle, Verdane opts for the latter, diving deep into the abyssal recesses of her spirit. By surrendering herself to the darkness, she mitigates the damage to her very essence, demonstrating a mastery over the shadows that both haunt and protect her. As her companions battle their own demons, Verdan's choice serves as a testament to her unyielding resolve and her willingness to embrace her losses in order to preserve what little light remains. The social fabric between these tormented souls, tattered by mistrust and enmity, hangs by a thread. With each whispered accusation and bitter glare, they edge closer to the precipice of despair as the Bastion's sinister machinations continue to gnaw at the very foundation of their unity. Bound together in the crucible of the Bastion, the four rogues faced a dire test of their collective resolve. The line between friend and foe blurred as the sinister dream state threatened to unravel the fragile bonds that held them together. Unfortunately, the party couldn't defy the darkness, halting their progress on any initiative to break free of their mental prison. Time has run out. The ghastly Bastion bellows with a cruel psychic energy.
All right, consequences. I'm gonna roll consequence. Depending on what this consequence is, how this event's going to end. All the anger has been abstracted from our minds. This could also affect what the truce is between our characters. $84.90. Stab. Summon. Acting as the final sacrificial stab to our psyches. Theoretically, a stab of at a vessel, our anger, our hearts, that pours out all the anger. That final attempt at solving this mental puzzle was like a stab, triggering the great summon of the moonlit bastion's probably strongest manifestation it has ever produced.
Amidst the cursed dream, mistrust and suspicion gnaw at the very fabric of the rogues' tenuous alliance. As they stand off against one another, eyes narrowed and jaws clenched, a rumbling of deafening groans and shattering stone can be heard when suddenly the dream implodes upon itself.
It's going to be related to the living stone, but even greater because it has the anger pouring from the hearts of all of us. And it's going to create something. It's going to create something, and that thing is going to be a byproduct of our characters' combined hate and anger. And that's going to have an impact on us until this thing is defeated.
Meanwhile, in the conscious plane, despair takes its toll on the murderous imprisoned cutthroat the journeyman left to suffer a little longer. The thug's life's essence draining away within the cursed and unforgiving stone cell. The very walls that surround him seem to pulse with a sinister hunger, gnawing relentlessly at his spirit. As the last vestiges of his strength begin to wane, an otherworldly glow pierces the gloom of the chamber, drawing the thug's eye to the bastion's dark heights. Desperate for any hope of salvation, he crawls towards the bars of his prison. Yet, as his fingers reach for the cold rock bars, a jagged stone spike erupts from the floor, impaling him through the abdomen and hoisting him into the unfathomable void above. The chamber plunges into darkness, the thug's cries swallowed by the abyss.
As long as our characters live, this creature lives. And we can't be the ones to kill it. None of our characters can be the ones to kill it. And this thing is going to wreak havoc on the surrounding area until it's dead. And that blood is going to be on our hands. And the guilt will affect us suitably. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But we have just produced a monster. Us, the journeyman, Maven, Arturias, and Verdane. This creature is going to be a byproduct of our anger, as well as the Moon Bastion's living stone. It seems to create these creatures of living stone that are highly intelligent and have supernatural powers. I'm going to roll on the creature description table to get an idea of what this thing looks like, and we'll end there. Its abilities will have to wait until we encounter it to see. But we're going to witness this thing form before we pass out and wake back up at the tavern, wondering if it was all a dream. What does this thing look like? $25. Constructed. Amorphous. This creature is made of stone, once again produced from the Moonlit Bastion, except it is made up of Maven, the Journeyman, Verdane, and Artorius's dark secrets. So it has the body, has like, you can see the Lord, the assassinated Lord. You can see, let me write that down. It's just kind of fire. The assassinated Lord that I failed to protect. You see Maven's victim. You see the Legion. Matter of fact, I'm going to say that this thing has an army, and it's the army, the squadron that Artorius killed. We are tied to this creature at the Moonlit Bastion.
In the heart of the Moonlit Bastion, the air thickens with the palpable tension and animosity brewing amongst the rogues. The very walls seem to tremble with anticipation, and as if drawn to the darkness of their hearts, a vile creation begins to take shape before their horrified eyes. From the depths of their nightmares, a monstrous, animated structure emerges, a grotesque amalgamation of their dark pasts, an abomination born from their collective hatred. At the core of this hideous beast lies the slain lord that Artorius once thwarted, now fused together with the two knights who are none other than Artorius's father and brother. Their forms share a single twisted torso, their limbs melded together in a gruesome display of unity. Surrounding this unholy union, a stone horde of 6 slain rogues from a faraway dwelling rises, their eyes filled with a burning grudge and insatiable bloodlust. Various occupations are represented within their ranks, yet they all share the same relentless desire for revenge. Above them, 6 headless witches float, their decapitated forms suspended in the air as if guided by some unseen force. The eerie sight of their lifeless bodies only adds to the sheer terror of the scene unfolding before the rogues. As the dreadful creature looms before them, a malevolent force overwhelms their senses, and the weight of their own darkness crushes them into unconsciousness. Our band of rogues rouses from their tortured slumber, awakening outside Genevieve's tavern, disoriented and weary. Verdane, her gaze surveying her companions, offers a silent vigil as they regain their senses. With a solemn gesture, she turns and points toward the distant silhouette of the Moonlit Bastion, its malevolent presence now all too apparent. In the shadows of the unknown, where heroes tread and adversity reigns, emerges a beacon of hope and triumph. Behold, the Journeyman Tavern Protector variant from the esteemed Director series. This masterpiece captures the essence of perseverance in the face of unspeakable challenges. The Journeyman Tavern Protector stands guard, a sanctuary amidst chaos, where warriors gather to share tales of conquest and whispers of the unknown. Available in various print sizes, the sleek, milky, monochrome wall-mounted print melds effortlessly with any decor, casting an aura of resolute defiance upon your dwelling. Your purchase not only grants you a piece of breathtaking artistry, but also fortifies the director's channel. Each acquisition fuels the pursuit of unearthing stories from the depths of despair, charting the path to redemption for those brave enough to journey. Claim your Journeyman Tavern Protector variant today and stand ever vigilant in the face of despair, for it is within these shadows that we find our true metal.